Hello everyone, Zelarinth here, and for today's video on Umamusume, we're going to take a look at the upcoming Umas that will be dropping here in the next few days alongside the Cheerleader event, and that's going to be Cheerleader Nice Nature as well as Cheerleader King Halo. And like I do with all my Uma videos, we'll go ahead and take a look at their stat bonuses, their aptitudes, as well as their skills, and whether or not you will be wanting to pull for them regarding kind of everything else that's coming out around them. And with that, we'll just go ahead and get right into Nice Nature first. And so, Nice Nature here with her stat bonuses, 10% stamina, 10% power, 10% wit. I really like that on her. Powers, I'm always liking power bonuses. And then stamina, she's going to be more targeted towards mediums when we kind of take a look at her kit here. Which then, that stamina can make it a little bit easier, especially on the longer mediums, to hit that stamina point where you only really need one heal, or depending on the build, maybe no heals. So overall, not too bad there. And then just like the OG Nice Nature, she has Turf A, Medium A, Long A, and Late A. And she really is focused on late in her kit as well, just like the OG one. But if you really want to, you could build her as Pace or End. And she can work on Mile being Mile C. When it comes to her unique here, it's another one of those passing on the final corner or later type skills. And then you're going to get a speed boost, her specifically being on the final straight. Now it is got the positional requirement of being in the mid pack. But if she has a little bonus on top of it. If she's not one of the top favorites, which if you kind of go the debuffer route when we look at her skills, very likely that will be true. The skill will last a little bit longer. So it's basically passing on that final quarter or later from 4th through 6th place. You get a 0.35% speed boost for 5 seconds. And then it's 6 seconds if she is not in the top 3. Which, to me, is going to be very likely if you go the debuff route in her, which is what I think a lot of people would want to use with her. As when we take a look at her awakening skills here, I mean, she has Nimble Nav and Tether built in, but the gold versions as well, being Dominator and No Stopping Me. And so this is a combo we haven't seen on Umas, in that she's probably going to be one of the better ones if you're really trying to make that hybrid ace. Now, she does have one big drawback, but you will have the Dominator, which you're seeing the popularity of that going up now that stamina is not as hard of a requirement to get. So I feel like Mystifying Murmur is going to drop off from the OG, and people are going to prefer to have Dominator instead. And then with that, you can also try and get her a little bit of a speed boost with Long Shot that's built in. And then to try and just win it outright, you have No Stopping as one of your gamble accelerations. Now, one big negative on her, as I've just kind of mentioned, is if you're trying to go that gamble route of she can debuff and then try and gamble her way to a win, she cannot use the Nice Nature Wit card for on your left. And so the other card that you're going to want to use for her to get that, unless you're going to just go with the white Slick Surge, would be the Winning Ticket Guts card. Now that card is going to be absolutely abysmal, so maybe you just go with Slick Surge in this case. And then you can always try and get from the brink from the Wit Serious Assembly card to kind of give her more of those gamble skills. But that's kind of the big downside, is she can't use her own Wit card. Now, when you kind of look down here, she has Fearless built in, Homestretch, Haste, Fighter, and Studious. And so pretty good overall on these skills. So she can work quite well as an ace, and you just kind of throw Dominator on her to maybe help out your others in case things fall out for her, just depending on how things work out. So overall, I feel like she's a pretty good pickup on this banner if you end up getting her. But to me, the big Uma that if you're going to pull for this banner is going to be for King Halo. Now, I will have a lot more to talk about with her, especially after I cover the support cards, as I feel like there's a very strong build that you can do with her. Now, it's kind of a more whale build. Even I probably won't be able to pull it off if I try it. But she's also going to be good for everybody to pick up because her unique's a very good inherit. But with that, we'll just go ahead and take a look at her here. So with her skill bonuses, she has Guts 10, Power 10, and Speed 10. You can already see where I can, what kind of deck's going to work really well on her, and that's going to be a Guts deck. And the new Guts support card coming with her will pair very well. So these are very good stat bonuses for her, but that's going with the whale route on Guts cards, because you're going to need a lot of cards to really make her work as a strong ace in that aspect. When it comes to the aptitudes, just like the normal King Halo, she's Turf A, Short A, Mile B, Medium B, Long C, and then late A and D, pace B, and front G. So she is basically a late surger, although I can see her working pretty well as an end closer as well if you're willing to put in the effort when we take a look at her unique. But then she can also pretty much do all the races, which is really good in Track Blazer. Other than, well, dirts. She can't do the dirts very easily. But when we take a look at her unique skill here, this is the key. I think that now this is going to be more niche because it's an acceleration skill, but it's only going to work on very specific tracks. The big one being Tokyo 1600, which is coming up after the Tokyo 2400. So it's the first or the mile race we'll be having during Track Blazer. But also the sprint that we did a few CMs ago where we start on a straightaway. And that is because her alt or unique is if she is in the back, if you're in the back pack of the race, or basically 6th through 9th place during the first half of the race, and you don't get rushed, you will get an acceleration on the final straight. And this is not a gamble acceleration. This is going to be, you hit the final straight and you accelerate. So you probably remember from Cancer Cup, Tokyo 1600, while it starts on a corner, that straightaway is right there. And so if you pull off those conditions, you get a point for acceleration on her, which can be very, very strong. Now, it does have the not getting rushed condition on there as well. And she cannot go farther than 6th place. So it can be kind of tricky because you don't want her to push up too far. But as we kind of discussed in my stream last night talking about her, you don't want her to be so far back that even though she gets the acceleration, she's not going to catch up to the very strong front runners who are going to be very strong on this one as well. And so it can be a little bit tricky on that. But this is also a very good inherit because end closers, someone like Narita Taishin, can take huge advantage of this, pairing it alongside like Encroaching Shadow. And that is because also it lasts 4 seconds. Encroaching Shadow only lasts 0.9, and then so you have on the inherit a 2.4 second 0.2 acceleration. So very, very good for your late surgers and end closers on this as it's a consistent acceleration as long as you meet those conditions. Now, getting rushed does happen often enough that it's still kind of a gamble in that aspect. So you would want to pair this with your other skills: end closers, straightaway spurt, Encroaching Shadow, and then late surgers on your left, and then like Furious Feet or Furious Feet for the mile, and then your other gambles for the sprint one, of course. Now, when it comes into her innate skills, she's got Spring Runner and the gold version of Spring Runner, which gives you speed and power. The mile, the Tokyo 1600, is a spring race, so it is going to be very good for that on her. So she's going to have extra power and speed. And then on her other gold awakening skill here, she has Rising Dragon. And this is where her kit really works around that not pushing forward as much in the early race, as Rising Dragon is a final corner velocity skill versus like a mid-race velocity skill. And on Tokyo 1600 and the sprint, that final corner is in the second half of the race. So you don't have to worry about pushing up too far in this aspect. And so pairing that with other skills that are final corner, which there are multiple, which when I talk about the support cards on my next video, both of them have second half of the race velocity skills that'll work really well with her. You can kind of see how she can really take off in that late race. But also, these will work really well, of course, on your other late surgers that inherit her alt. Nothing too really crazy else. I mean, she has a bunch of the other skills built in. She has Pumped built into her kit, which is the white version of the new gold skill that we'll talk about tomorrow that's coming with the Bamboo Memory Guts card. But this is very similar to Rising Dragon, other than the condition, instead of being it for late surger, it's for miles. So this is one that can work on your end closers as well, as it's still a back half of the track skill. So if you're building like a Narita Taishin Guts build, you have that skill that'll be very strong as well. But she has the white version built in, which is pretty nice. So all the skills that are second half of the race skills. So she's got a lot in her kit going on. And so kind of talking about what we have coming out around her. We've already gotten past Nishino Flower, which to me, Nishino Flower was the strongest and most consistent and has the most races that it'll apply to inherit. And so now that we're past her, depending on if you're like a meta pickup person, picking up all those meta acceleration inherits, if you got lucky on Nishino Flower, to me, King Halo is kind of in that area of the next strongest around this time frame. And because there's really not many other big pickups right now, but she is niche. She's only for two races, the sprint and Tokyo 1600. I don't know of any others where her acceleration alt will be good. And so while it's very niche in that aspect, but it's going to be very good for those. If you want to build that end closer or late surger, I feel like you want her inherit on those tracks, which will be the next mile. And then, of course, Cheerleader Halo is not too bad, especially for the mediums and you're wanting to bring a Dominator that has more of a gamble chance with no stopping me. But just know we have, of course, the big support card, Mr. CB Wit, coming out. And, of course, you would be pulling for King Halo Cheerleader for your end closers for the miles. So you don't want to use, I would say Mr. CB Wit is the higher priority to you for your end closers versus King Halo. Since King Halo, you can either use your borrow to get that on, you can borrow to get the alt on your ace, or you can get it built into your grandparents and get it through that way. While Mr. CB, you might be tied up with other cards that you want to borrow and thus want to pick it up here. I would put Mr. CB higher priority than King Halo. And of course, after that, you really don't have any too big of pickups until really you get to the summer area. So you do have, depending on how your polls have gone and how much you're sitting on, she is a good pickup in my opinion. Now, like I said, I will be making another video on really a kind of theory crafted build I have for King Halo that I think will be very strong. Although I won't be able to build it myself, primarily because it's going to require you to not only pull for her but also whale out on this banner, because both of these cards will work really well on her build, which we will talk about tomorrow with my when we look at the support cards. But that'll be it for now. And if you like my content, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.